Today we're going to be developing some skills and concepts around the idea of movie analysis so that you can analyze the extent to which a filmed production of a story stays faithful to or departs from a text and evaluate the choices made by the director or actors. You should have your notebook handy. You'll want to take some notes on the literary, dramatic, and cinematic elements and on some of the vocabulary for the cinematic elements, things like different types of screenshots and camera angles. When you're talking about literary aspects of a work, you're talking about things that apply to books, plays, and movies. You're talking about how the story's narrated, who the characters are, where it's set, what the conflict and plot are, what themes there are, whether there's things like symbolism or imagery. When you say they left this scene out or they merged two characters, they're fiddling with the literary aspects of the work. We compared literary elements in our prior movie analysis. For example, we looked at the characters in the book. Miss Rachel is Dill's aunt. Miss Stephanie Crawford is the neighborhood gossip. However, in the movie, they combined these two characters. There is no Miss Rachel. Instead, Miss Stephanie Crawford is Dill's aunt and the neighborhood gossip. Also, in Chapter 3 in the book, there's a scene inside the first grade classroom on Scout's first day of school. Miss Caroline and Burris Ewell are characters who are described and who have action and dialogue. Miss Caroline looks like a peppermint drop. Burris Ewell is the filthiest human being Scout has ever seen. However, in the movie, we never have that scene inside the classroom. We only hear about what happened on Scout's first day secondhand, when she tells about some of it to Atticus at lunchtime. We never actually see Miss Caroline or Burris Ewell. This is a scene in the movie where Walter Cunningham Sr. delivers turnip greens to the Finch home. In the book, Scout tells us about her special knowledge of the Cunningham tribe when she's narrating the events of her first day at school. The teacher has offered Walter a quarter for lunch and Scout knows he won't take it. At that point, as narrator, Scout fills in the reader about how she knows this, how the prior winter Mr. Cunningham brought them stovewood and hickory nuts and holly, and a croaker sack full of turnip greens. In the book, Scout is just thinking this and telling the reader in her narration. However, in a drama, it's weird to have the backstory told to viewers by a narrator. Viewers need to see the action unfold in front of them. So in the movie, the director chose to have a very short scene where Mr. Cunningham actually delivers some turnip greens to Atticus. They have a conversation that reveals the information about the payment plan. So technically, it's not exactly how it happened in the book, but in order to get the same message across, the director needed a new technique. The words from the text appear as part of the dialogue in the movie. Dramatic elements are those that arise when live performers act out a text. Dramatic elements exist both in plays in a theater and in movies. Features like acting, so body language, facial expression, tone of voice, plus costumes, makeup, sets, staging, and lighting all may add or detract from the viewer's experience of the text. Do you think Mary Badham, the actress who plays Scout, gets her character right? What about her voice, her tone, her facial expression? Is that the way you imagine Scout when you read the book? For costumes, sometimes people's clothes are described in the book as part of characterization, such as the description of Walter Cunningham's patched but clean overalls, but sometimes they aren't. For example, in the book, it never says what Scout is wearing on the first day of school. In the movie, she's wearing a dress, and it's the first time we've seen her in anything but overalls. It would be consistent for the time and place for her to wear a dress to school, and the movie adds a scene, the breakfast scene, where she first appears in the dress. There are other references in the book to the fact that she hates to wear dresses, so it seems like a reasonable choice to add this scene here and cut out the references to the dresses later. Let's look at the staging decisions made by the director. Look at how the actors are arranged on the set. Think, what does the positioning of the actors in the frame communicate to us? Atticus is in the middle. He's a focal point. He's higher than Walter because he's on the first step. Does this make him seem more important, more dominant? Atticus's face is mostly facing us. The lighting is such that his face is well lit and his white shirt practically glows. Mr. Cunningham is lower, his face is turned away and is in shadow. He is reaching up to Atticus, who's receiving the bundle. Even Scout is placed higher, or at least as high as Mr. Cunningham. It's not a huge point, but the director had to choose for them to stand somewhere, and the choices he made make Atticus stand out. Cinematic aspects of movies are things that are unique to movies, or at least a major element of films. Things like camera shots and angles, sound, lighting, and special effects. Cinematography or camera work is very important to film. Movies are made up of a lot of very short camera shots, and we'll spend most of the rest of this lesson learning about them. When we're looking at cinematic aspects of film, we might be asking, where's the camera relative to the action? And how often does the camera shot change? Movies are made up of thousands of shots spliced together. When you're in the audience at a play in an auditorium, you see the stage from the same angle the whole time. But in a movie, the camera angle changes constantly, often several times a minute. How fast the movie cuts from shot to shot is an important factor in determining the pace of the movie. A movie feels slower if there aren't constant changes of camera angle. You're going to stop this video and go on to the next page where we're going to learn about camera angles.